back to the 10-Minute Professional, the podcast designed to help you navigate the political landscape of corporate America while maintaining your sanity and hopefully not becoming a soulless monster. My name is Gabe. I am your host, and I believe personal and professional development needs to happen around the clock. Time is money, and money's needed for life, so let's not waste any time and get to work so we can get back to focusing on our lives. I've observed people underestimate the power of self-awareness and their personal perspective. People are always our greatest resource, and it's imperative we do not view them as cogs in a machine, but as complete human beings. I mention this because whenever someone asks me how it's going or how are you doing, I have the same answer: better and better. Additionally, if someone asks why I have the same answer every time they ask how I'm doing, I hit them with my favorite saying to share around the office. To paraphrase Pitbull, every day above ground is a great day, and we gotta remember that. Now, I'm an honest person. I am not a beacon of sunshine in the office. Some people are wired with the capacity to compartmentalize or find a way to have their 9 to 5 not interfere with their emotions. But I am absolutely not one of those people. But I'm cognizant if I project that negative sentiment into the world, I'm not doing myself or anyone else any favors. Our colleagues are all human beings who show up and clock in every single day just like we do for the exact same reason: to get paid. Since we're all unique individuals, we all have our unique personalities and respond to different stimuli accordingly. When you join an organization, you will be expected to develop and refine a specific blend of technical and soft skills to meet the demands of your role. In an ideal circumstance, you'll have a supervisor who provides coaching and feedback based on data or actions you've undertaken to help you meet the expectations of your role. I can't speak for any of you, however, I have found that ideal circumstance few and far between over the course of my career. When I was a frontline manager, I believed in providing personalized feedback to an individual based on their specific communication style. While everyone is measured against specific metrics, rubrics, MBOs, or KPIs, we all learn and communicate differently. A recurring theme throughout our conversations will be ensuring our communication is framed to our audience appropriately. Some people need coaching on developing their technical or, quote, hard skills. Some people need to improve their organization. Everyone is at different points and on different trajectories on their personal and professional journeys. Something we all have in common is dominant personality traits. If you do not have the luxury of a mentor or receiving personalized feedback from a professional voice you trust, you can still improve and grow so long as you're willing to have honest conversations and hold yourself accountable. Back in college, I took a psychology class where we had to do one of those super long personality tests. And my two most dominant traits were paranoia and narcissism. Go figure, I became a content creator. I'm a staunch advocate of turning our worst, quote unquote worst, personality traits to our advantage in any way, shape, or form. I choose to view these traits as aspects of my personality, which are a part of me, like cards in a hand I've been dealt. We've all met arrogant people who don't listen, who always think they're right, and who are just completely full of themselves. As a self-proclaimed and, I suppose, identified narcissist, this is a very easy trait for me to observe and identify. That being said, the great thing about narcissism, when it comes to my professional career, is when I receive harsh or critical feedback. Unless the person I'm communicating with is giving me clear examples or is backing their criticisms in data, it goes in one ear and out the other. I'll never be one of those people who thinks, oh, I should have said this or that a few hours after a tough conversation because the moment has passed and I do not live in the past. However, this is where self-awareness is critical. I need to be willing to admit when I've made a judgment error or a mistake of any kind. To temper this trait, I forced myself to become very data-driven, very cognizant of tangible examples, and my overall production in whatever role I'm being measured against because I know how easy it would be to become one of those self-important jerks who isn't easy to collaborate with or to talk to. In my humble, personal, and completely non-medical or professional opinion, paranoia is one of the worst traits a human being can contend with. Whether it be unconsciously searching for confirmation bias or by pure chance, inevitably, paranoia will prove itself correct if you allow it to. All too frequently, I've seen this trait in other people lead to indecision, apprehension, operating from a place of fear, and all that sort of stuff. That being said, I choose to view everything as an opportunity, and paranoia can make you extremely meticulous and detail-oriented, which are useful traits in any profession, whether you're at the entry or the executive level. So long as we operate and make the best decision we can given all available data, and don't overthink, we can't let any personality trait lead to mental paralysis or stagnation or complacency. When I used to coach those who suffered from high anxiety, imposter syndrome, and overall just feeling like they were walking on needles or eggshells for whatever reason, I would always advise them to focus on one specific thing at a time. If they were in a particularly tough meeting with someone who was on the attack, I would advise my mentee to focus on the core ask or agenda of the meeting. If the questions posed by a corpo op or a shark or rude coworker are framed to make you look inept, ask yourself, and if relevant, aloud, if their specific line of questioning is contributing to the core goal of the meeting. If you ask this aloud, be sure to operate with tact and professionalism. If everyone is off topic and discussing or arguing about something irrelevant, ask if the specific questions being raised are moving the discussion in the right direction. If you're composing an email and someone is bringing in a bunch of excuses, keep your core question at the forefront of your mind when composing a response. Anxiety and frustration, or information overload, as we call it on the Big Brain Hotshot Show, can be overwhelming and looks different for each individual. However, when the room is loud and you're focusing on a goal as opposed to voices or emotions or getting in your own head, it becomes easier to deflect and block out the noise, at least in my experience. We're all unique individuals, and we all have our own issues. However, we should never underestimate the power of our perspective, and we should always prioritize developing self-awareness. I don't view my personality traits, which could be considered negative or less desirable, as such. I choose to view the right angle, where the various facets of who I am can be used to my benefit as opposed to my detriment. Confidence is everything. And in my experience, nothing helps it grow like being acutely cognizant of our strengths, areas of improvement, and who we are, not just as workers, but as human beings. Remember that who you are outside the office is more important than who you are inside of it. And never lose sight of the fact that we're all human beings simply trying to get paid. I look forward to our next discussion, and I hope you stay happy, healthy, positive, and above all, confident.